Man, I just put out a video talking about what Dodge could do, and in it, I went on a bit of a tangent about the Trackhouse potential reshuffling, with Daniel Suarez being the odd man out in a four-man combination, and basically said, hey, he can't survive because Shane won't go, Ross won't go, and Zilich is coming up. And looky here, he agrees to leave. And I read in an article earlier that he stated, we don't know if it's true or not, but he stated that they had already been talking about this for a while, and this is just the official coming out party of the news, which sad. You never want to see anybody lose their job, but I know he made a lot of money between his stint at JGR, his stint at Stewart Haas, his stint at Trackhouse, and I also don't think this will be the last of them. So let's just appreciate that fact. And building on the fact that I don't think we will have seen the last of him, I think he has other opportunities on the way. So, but let's just review his previous driver statistics and look at that to kind of determine what we want to do. Because I have this cracked open because this is his first year in the Cup, 2017. He takes over for Carl Edwards after Carl retires. Takes over that 19. I just distinctly remember that Eris paint scheme. I don't know why it sticks out of my brain, but I remember it. And he had a good couple of seasons in Cup. The first year, couple top fives, or one, sorry, not couple, one top five, 12 top tens. Next year, building up a little bit more momentum, three top fives, nine top tens. 2019 is when he shifts over to Stewart Haas. I believe he only got 2 years. I'm looking at the race, not him. I need to look at his races. And yep, he moved over to Stewart Haas. So he's back with Stewart Haas, Haas Automation. Yeah. So 2019 he moves over because then in 2022 he's going to get his first win, and this is in his year with Trackhouse. Yes, Trackhouse finally pop off, and he gets his first win, and then he gets his second one this past year at Atlanta. Um, and if you look at his career, it doesn't feel like all that much, especially when you think about the equipment he was in. Yes, he was in JGR when they weren't, I don't want to say they weren't at the peak of their powers, but there were other contenders. 2017 is the year Martin Truex Jr. runs away with it, if I'm not mistaken, right? MTJ, 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 MTJ. Yeah, this is the year MTJ ran away with it. So you've got the year after where Furniture Row collapses and he joins GGR, and between him and Kyle Busch, they were dominant. I think somewhere in here you've got the Harvick years, Harvick, Clint, and Almirola all kind of chipping in with their wins, and he just didn't do anything there. After Kurt Busch retires or something, because he takes over the 41, and I'm relatively certain that was Kurt Busch's car. But he honestly did not feel like he did that much in Cup. Like his average finish was always in between 15, never lower than, I mean, it's beyond this one year, this really, really bad year, 2020. And I try to discount this year in a lot of my NASCAR statistical viewing because it was a bit hinky for everyone, and you don't know what people were dealing with that they chose not to say. But beyond this kind of anomalous year, he really ranged between like a 15 and a 22 for average finishes, which is pretty good. Xfinity, he was a lot more dominant, especially in the year he won, 2016. This is right before he goes up to Cup, and you can see the statistics. He was pretty damn impressive in there. Started to the front all the damn time and finished top 10. Love that. So for me, when I see these, I think of him like a driver like Eric Almirola. Almirola, he is just objectively not good. He has three wins. All of them are flukes. I think one of them is like a Loudon race. One of them is a super speedway. None of them are good. And I don't mean, I don't want to discount it, but all of his wins truly are just disappointing. Yeah, here we go. Daytona. So that's super speedway. Let's look at this one, 2018. Where's his win? Talladega Super Speedway. And is this the Loudon one where he dominated Loudon for kind of no reason? Yep, Loudon. There it is. Led 40, led how many laps did he lead? Let's take a look. Led 25 laps. So he took over, I want to say he took over for like Harvick Harvick was reading, and Almirola got the back half of it, but he had lackluster stats. But then we've seen him in Xfinity these past couple of years just absolutely rip it to shreds, and that makes me think of a potential pathway for Daniel because Almirola doesn't run all the time in Xfinity. He runs occasionally in that 19, and there are other people that hop in, but it's a great way to rehabilitate your career because I know 2024 reminded a lot of people that Eric Almirola can race. 14 total starts, nine of them top tens. Like that's kind of silly numbers, especially when you have a crash in there as well. So if we discount the crash, you're looking at just just less than 75% top 10 success rate. So I want Daniel Suarez really badly to try that because Zilich has proven what can go so well in Xfinity. I mean, he's just dominated. And you kind of need to prove that you're better than this to a degree. And maybe you're not, but you need to prove that you're close enough so that people don't forget about you. Because right now, it just feels like he's almost there just for the sponsorship, like the opportunities it brings NASCAR, which I mean, it's its own benefit. Like, frankly, you have to use all of the tools in your tool belt to get into NASCAR. Like people like Cindric, for example, have been using their father's name for years. And I know Cindric was statistically good in Xfinity, but I don't want to hear it. He used his dad and Penske to really break into the sport, which is perfectly fine. You have to do what you have to do. But places I think Daniel can go, JGR, another one, Legacy. Legacy is fighting for that third charter, and everyone assumes it's going to be for Corey Heim. Hopefully they can get it from Rick Ware. It looks like it's going to be a bit of a legal scrap, but if they do, you got to wonder who they put in that Toyota seat. And if Toyota feels that Heim just isn't ready yet, you don't want to put somebody else in because you're going to run into the issue where if you put in, let's say, Chandler Smith, or you get one of your Jake Garcias or whatever, and they do well, what are you going to do? You're not going to want to move them over to better equipment in 2311 or JGR, and you don't want to let them go to a competitor, especially considering how strapped for talent Toyota kind of is, at least in the lower ranks. Like, I mean, they've got some talent. I don't want to say they've got no talent, but the years where you had your Noah Gragsons and Ty Gibbs in the Xfinity series, followed by John Hunter Nemechek dominating in Xfinity, that you don't have that sort of raw talent right now for them. Ford has a couple with Lane Riggs. Chevy definitely has a couple. Zilich is like top of the pile, but there's a couple others between Carson Kvapil, um, and even like if you want to go further down, Leland Honeyman, who I really like as an option for something. But it feels like Toyota is missing that bit of talent. They need it. And it feels like if you're doing this, you need someone to hold the seats for stopgap measures. You don't want them to ruin your ability to bring in a youngster, but you don't want to essentially put someone in that you're constantly fighting to fund. And Daniels feels like the perfect spot for that type of situation. Get Daniel in. You're not worried about funding. You're happy to have him in the car. He's experienced. He can give you more feedback because John Hunter is probably worse at giving you feedback. Eric Jones is probably the guy over there. And you don't really think Suarez is going to challenge Jones for the guy status. Suarez has been very comfortable being a number three, number four in whatever situation he's been in. I don't envision him challenging Jones. Maybe he challenges John Hunter, but especially considering what we've seen out of Briscoe with him coming to grips with JGR's equipment after running around in Fords for years, I imagine the slow start allows John Hunter, in this hypothetical scenario, it allows John Hunter to really set himself up as the true number two. And I'm not even sure Toyota, and I say Toyota because, the engine manufacturers can kind of push their wishes downstream, but I'm not even sure Legacy really wants to do something like that because it does put a bit of pressure onto John Hunter. And I don't know if that's what you want to do, but I don't think this is the last we've seen of Suarez. I think there's going to be either opportunities in Xfinity or one-off rides in Cup because if Corey LaJoy can manage to scrap together a ride with the limited sponsorship he's been known to have, I cannot imagine that like if we keep going Mexico to the Mexico Grand Prix site, I cannot imagine nobody like Trackhouse or if you flip it to a different manufacturer, Chevrolet doesn't offer Daniel a one-off ride. I mean, Toyota's been doing that for all types of drivers. I don't know why they wouldn't want to bring Daniel back in just for a one-off. But yeah, I can't see this being permanent. I think maybe a year off, give some time to redevelop, but a fair point that I think I was talking to my mother about this is that he's kind of old. And I don't mean old in NASCAR terms, but he's been in the sport for 8 years and hasn't really developed into something better than a mid-tier driver, which when he came in was okay. That was perfectly acceptable when he came in. The problem now is you've got a dearth of talent that is younger than you, and that looks like it's going to stay in the series for a while. Because keep in mind, in 2017, we're only just getting into the Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott, William Byron era of Hendrick. JGR is finally getting Christopher Bell up, if I'm not mistaken. You're finally getting your Cindrics and Briscoes into the sport in like the between 2017 and 2019. So those are the talents that Suarez is technically contemporaries of. And do you think he's better than any of those guys? No. And for the guys that are younger than him, they don't have to be as good. They just have to prove they have more potential talent. Hocevar right now, well, but Hocevar is a bad example. Hocevar honestly might be a better driver than Daniel Suarez. But last year, I think Hocevar was not a better driver than Daniel, but everyone saw the potential and realized, whoa, this kid is going to be good and he's going to be better than Daniel Suarez because you don't feel a career resurgence for Daniel Suarez. He has the ability to run in the front a little bit, but that's about it. And it's normally on off strategy decisions. It's not really something he personally has done. But that's about it, in my opinion, for this video. I will come back for more if we get more driver movement. I don't think this starts off like a chain reaction because, frankly, the solution is simple. You bring in Connor Zilic. You signed him last year. You made all this effort to get Connor Zilic on your books as Trackhouse. You've made the effort to get him in the road courses and a couple of normal races to kind of get him some seat time. It was kind of written on the walls that Zilic was coming up one way or another. And considering how well he did in Xfinity, there was no way he didn't come up this year. 2 wins, 6 top 5s, 8 top 10s. And I think he's been in I want to say 2 or 3 wrecks this year. Yeah, two, three. 3 different crashes this year. So pull those out, and you've got 13 to 8 top 10s, 6 to 13 top 5s, 2 to 13 wins. That's pretty good. And he's looked dominant when he's been at the front. So that's about all you can really hope for from an Xfinity guy and an Xfinity car. Um, yeah, I don't see any way that Daniel gets back in with Trackhouse, but I mean, it is what it is. That's kind of the way of the sport. And I think everyone kind of felt it. Like I said, the writing was really on the wall last year when you just knew Shane, they weren't going to sign him for just a year and say, oh, this experiment didn't work. Everyone knew he was going to be inexperienced. Ross is the team leader. He's proven that time and time again. And he's proven it again this year with not their only, Shane obviously won, but their first win, especially when everyone was kind of doubting Trackhouse's speed. And Zilic is going to be your young gun. It feels like a really complete team, but shame for Suarez. But I think he'll be back. I still firmly believe that if he's willing, when Ram does get this experiment off the ground for Cup and when they kind of figure out what exactly they want to do, he's got to be third or fourth on their call sheet for guys who would be willing to drop down and perform and just help them develop to come back up the year later and get it off the ground. Thank you all for listening. And if we get more news, you'll hear from me.